Hey there everyone, thanks for tuning in to a brand new video today. We are making a Japanese egg omelet, also known as a Tamagoyaki. When we were in Japan, everything egg related was phenomenal. That was some of the best food and really the most surprising food we have had, because something as simple as eggs, I guess when it comes for our Middle Eastern culture, there are a lot of foods that we can incorporate eggs to, but of course it's going to be eggs with sujuk or basturma or lamb awarma, or it's not really the egg that's shining in that dish. But when we went to Japan, the eggs were the star of their own dishes, and it was astounding how incredible these flavors were. Konbini egg salad sandwiches from like 7-Eleven, Family Mart, those were out of this world. People don't really understand how delicious and amazing those sandwiches really are. And while we were at Tsukiji Market, we were able to try 2 of the Tamagoyaki street foods, basically the egg omelet on a stick. And we have been experimenting and trying all different flavor combinations and all different cooking styles. We got a pan from a local market in Little Tokyo here in LA to properly cook it. These pans, this is a smaller version of the pan you want to get, but they have big square ones, and we just got a small rectangular one because we're a small family and we don't make it that often, and when we do, we just make it per day. So this is usually enough for us to make for my dad and I, and sometimes my mom will eat it too. Typically when my dad makes it, and this video will include 2 styles of how we make the Tamagoyaki, typically we kind of do a little bit of a twist on it. We'll add like ham, cheese, green onion to it, which while we were in Japan, we never encountered that style. Today, actually, I finally managed to find a bottle of sake to use what I think is their secret ingredient. Now, I've searched a lot of recipes online. I have found very few that actually use sake, but when I was in Tsukiji, we asked one of the vendors, what was their secret ingredient, and they said sake. Typically, you'll find recipes that use mirin in it. I figured why not try it with sake too, and this bottle, it was one of the recommended cooking sake, the ozeki sake at 99 Ranch at the local or Asian market. It was maybe under $5, so a pretty good sized bottle for it. For the Tamagoyaki, what you will need is 4 eggs. That's typically what we use to fill up that pan. We've got sugar, salt, soy sauce, sesame oil, and we kind of wanted to make it like a sandwich today, so I picked up a beautiful loaf from a local Japanese bakery called The Loaf. They are part of the Okoyama bakery, which is throughout Japan. They have about 200 locations, and they have been in Anaheim for a few years now. They just opened up in Santa Clarita. And of course you will need some cooking oil to actually cook it. First and foremost, I'm going to crack the eggs in the bowl and add the salt and sugar. The salt is typically a pinch and everything else is a tablespoon for the 4 egg mixture. I'm going to add a little bit more salt, but I'm going to let these marinate, because I did find out that if you actually let the eggs marinate in like the salt and sugar, it breaks down and makes it for a more tender, fluffy, smooth egg. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Just to let it break down and give it a little bit more flavor. There we go. And the tablespoon of sugar. Go ahead and whisk that up. I'm going to let that sit for about 10 minutes or so, and I'm going to go ahead and combine my other liquid ingredients. So once I'm ready to cook, I'll whisk that in as well, and we'll get started cooking. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the liquid ingredients to the egg mixture. I think I might have added a little bit too much soy sauce because it's a little bit darker than what we're used to. Of course, you want that more bright yellow. Typically, we are trying to use like the brown eggs that have that nicer yolk, but the white regular eggs were on sale today, and we were going to be using a lot of eggs this weekend. You want to add the canola oil or just any kind of neutral oil to the pan, let that heat up, and then I'm going to take a paper towel with the cooking chopsticks and wipe away all the excess, and pour the eggs in maybe 3 to 4 batches, just enough to cover the bottom of the pan, and then flip it, and you'll see how that turns out. And hopefully the end result is a nice Tamagoyaki egg omelet. As you saw, that didn't quite turn out how I had hoped for it to turn out. Now, I think one issue I noticed I've been having, I'm making my pan too hot and leaving the heat too high throughout the cooking process. The first few flips kind of turned out okay. That last final flip, everything fell apart, and I might need to put a little bit less eggs at least and let it cook and mix it around a lot. I wouldn't say there's technically one right way, because I'm sure the vendors at Tsukiji Market, the various Tamagoyaki vendors, they are going to have their own techniques and styles and of course flavors. In the next part, where you see how we make a little bit different recipe, maybe we'll try to focus more on the heat. Let's go ahead and cut this open and take a look inside so you can see all the layers. There you go. I'm going to let this cool down and we'll give it a taste test then. Let's go ahead and try some of these flakes that are falling off. The sake makes a big difference. I think I put too much salt. I think half a tablespoon was still too much. I might just stick with the pinch of salt next time. I definitely like that flavor aside from the saltiness. Tomorrow we'll cut back on the salt. Let's go ahead and put the sandwich together and try this out. Go ahead and have a bite. Perfect combination of that bread with egg. The bread itself is so soft and airy and light. Let's go ahead and jump forward to tomorrow and make the second version of the Tamagoyaki, and hopefully that turns out a little bit better than today's version. So we are doing things pretty different this time around. We are separating the egg yolks from the egg whites and whipping them separately, just to try to get them really fluffy and airy and more light. We're also adding a splash of milk to the egg yolks. I think we kind of realized after it was unnecessary to actually whip them up separately, but we are also adding some green onions, ham, and just the oil as usual to the pan. And there we go with the eggs, making sure to coat the entire pan like we did the first time around. And just practice, practice, practice. We've done this over a dozen times, probably well over 24 times, and we kind of pick up different techniques and find out different issues or causes and effects every time we do make these eggs. So it's always going to be a learning practice, but at least I hope this video gives you some sense of what to do and what not to do. Now the video does end abruptly in just a few moments because I accidentally deleted the video, or I lost it somehow, I'm not sure, but it did taste a lot better with this one because we did add less sugar and salt, but also adding the ham and onions gives a different flavor. So I hope you enjoy.